evening. This is CTV News for this Thursday, January 22nd. I'm Sonia Srivastava.
And I'm Byron Scott. Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, Metro announces a series of steps in response to the fatal train incident at L'Enfant Plaza. Those measures announced at a meeting this morning as NTSB officials met with Ilmata board. Latifa Majid has more.
Set quarterly drills for the next 3 years.
Out of the 10 changes that Metro is making, perhaps the most important gives operators the authority to cut off train ventilation systems.
Currently, the SOP requires the RCC to tell the operator to do this, but we have looked at this and we have made a determination that it would make more sense for the operator, once he encounters smoke, to be able to do that.
So what caused the train to fill with smoke?
We have close to 200 separate fans within the system, 81 separate vent shafts. We have about 4 fans in each of those, and we have 32 jet fans which are under the platforms.
The fans can exhaust out, they can feed in, and they weren't doing the correct direction as they were supposed to.
Officials say that ventilation fans were not working properly during the fatal accident, which could have caused smoke to go on to the train. A Metro board member recommends that they put digital signs on the trains so riders know their exact location in case of an emergency. But is that the rider's responsibility?
As a Metro rider, I think it is a responsibility for the riders to be able to watch out where they're going and their surroundings. Yes, it's convenient for us to have our earphones in and to be reading our books and things like that, but as a rider, you know, we're adults. We should hold, our own responsibility.
The investigation shows that passengers were on the smoke-filled train for 30 minutes before firefighters arrived.
There was spotty coverage and usage of DC fire radios in the system. So from the 7th to the 8th and over the weekend, our staff, realizing that it's our responsibility to maintain the radio system, looked for everything possible that we could find that we could correct to get the fire department radios working adequately. On the morning, by the end of the weekend, the staff had more questions than answers.
In Washington, D.C., I'm Latifa Majid, CTV News.
Metro says it's now inspecting and adjusting several hundred tunnel fans and ventilation shafts. And Maryland is facing a challenging fiscal outlook as new governor Larry Hogan unveils his first budget.
And that's right. Reporter Rochelle Metzger joins us in studio now with the story. And Rochelle, certainly some cuts on the way.
That's right. A new day, a new administration in Annapolis. Maryland's newly sworn-in governor, Larry Hogan, held his first press conference today in the State House. Fresh off his inauguration, the Republican leader briefed the legislature and the press on his fiscal year 2015-2016 budget. At more than $16 billion, the plan eliminates the current deficit and balances finances. And while it includes cuts of 2% across state agencies and reduces some money for higher education, Hogan says the plan is fiscally responsible and structurally sound.
Our budget puts Maryland on sound financial footing without raising taxes or fees and without eliminating agencies or departments or services, without laying off a single state employee, and without any furloughs whatsoever.
Hogan says the plan also includes record investment in education for public schools, construction, and programs. However, it cuts the Geographic Cost of Education Index, also known as GCEI, in half. The funding formula helps high cost of living counties like Montgomery and Prince George's.
We chose the option that had the least impact overall through the state. They will see some money from GCEI. They'll see a 50% of what was anticipated on the GCEI. Why? Because, the legislature, the previous administration, and the administration before that proved that it wasn't absolutely required. But we still found other areas to get that money to record.
As for some other areas of local concern, officials say while money is being held in place for the red and purple lines, both projects are, quote, pending review and re-evaluation. And something else that he was asked about today was tax cuts, which was a major campaign promise of his. But Hogan says today was about spending. They need to get that in line first, and then they can look at rolling back taxes. But he does say that in the next couple weeks, he'll be introducing some tax cut proposals to the General Assembly.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Rochelle, for that report. And meantime, County Executive Rashawn Baker is reacting to the governor's budget. Baker says cuts to the GCI will have a dramatic impact on Prince George's and Montgomery counties.
They just want to talk.
We think it's going to be somewhere $15 to $18 million in cuts, and it will have a tremendous impact because we can't fill that gap at the county level. And so so it's going to have an impact on the quality of education in the school system. So we're going to fight hard to restore those cuts.
If you keep in mind that we have to meet the maintenance of effort level, and we have to continue to look at the growing number of students in our system here in the county, and that we are really at a margin right now and struggling to keep up with that, this is a severe hit.
The Hogan administration also announced today that $30 million will be allocated for the new regional medical center in Largo.
Hospital is our #1 issue in the county in this budget year. And so putting that money in there, it gets us there. And we think we're going to be able to build this regional medical facility that's going to provide jobs and opportunities for not just Prince George's County, but the entire state of Maryland. So that part of the budget.
And Governor Hogan has withdrawn a handful of regulations that would have impacted runoff from farms on the Eastern Shore and air quality. One proposal would have curbed the use of poultry manure on farm fields. It was aimed at helping clean up the Chesapeake Bay. Another regulation that was proposed in the last weeks of the O'Malley administration was aimed at reducing air pollution from coal-burning power plants. The Chesapeake Bay Foundation and Sierra Club have issued statements critical of the governor. They say Hogan effectively rolled back years of environmental progress.
And you're watching CTV News. I'm Sonia Srivastava.
And I'm Byron Scott.